consider the legal culture of the arbitrators and of your opposing counsel. A former Nigerian judge or a senior advocate of Nigeria sitting as arbitrator is probably not going to have the same expectations of how a cross-examination should be conducted as, say, a former French judge who comes from a very different legal tradition. Even within similar traditions, an American litigator is probably going to approach a witness in terms of their preparation much more differently from an English lawyer who is constrained by more strict ethical rules that regulate the preparation of witnesses. Factor these things in. Play to your tribunal. Play to your opposing counsel. Think about the culture they come from and try and meet it and satisfy it. Number 6, I hope you're still with me. I hope I count at least. Have disarming techniques. What do I mean by this? Well, politeness and aggression are two very valuable tools, but only to be used when you need them. So a witness may be prepared. They may be very well prepared, arguably too prepared by their lawyers. They may try to disarm you as the cross-examining counsel. So why shouldn't you be prepared as well and have some disarming techniques to unsettle them? Let me give you 2 examples. You might douse them with politeness and lead them into a false sense of security. For example, I'm terribly sorry to trouble you with this today. I know it's a big time commitment, but rest assured, I'm not here to catch you out. I'm simply here to ask you some questions. You are simply here to give some answers. And don't worry, I will signpost you where we are going at this stage. There will be no surprises. And of course, I'm here to try and help you get through this. If a cross-examiner ever says that to you as a witness, don't believe a word of what they're saying. But if you get lulled into that false sense of security, you may well find witnesses, oh, it's okay then. I'm not being attacked. I'm not being caught out. Alternatively, you might use a more aggressive or stringent tone. You might say, I'm sorry, Miss Okoko, but you really must just answer the question put to you. Counsel for the opposing party will have plenty of time to ask you questions that you want to answer, and I'm sure they will be delighted to let you speak. But right now, you must answer my questions, or you are wasting the time of the tribunal and myself and yourself. So please stick to the question that is put. She is shaking her head for those who can't see at the back of the room. There are different styles and different techniques. Use these disarming techniques wisely. Number 7, the difference in approach between a fact witness and an expert witness. They are 2 very different beasts. In my experience, experts are just that. They are experts. They will, or at least they should, know their field better than you. So whilst you might know the documents better than a fact witness and probably know the facts better than them, you will not know the field of expertise better than your expert. So don't play on that field. You are probably going to lose. So instead, with expert cross-examination, you use an expert against an expert. Have your expert help you to prepare cross-examination. Find those points where the expert is perhaps a little wobbly on the opinion. Challenge the expert's assumptions in their report. Challenge the inconsistencies in their report. And finally, number 8, you will be relieved to hear. I can see there is a collective sigh across the room. Don't worry. Things will go wrong in your cross-examination. Unexpected things will happen. Like my phone just calling then. Answers will not quite be where you expect them to be. Be dynamic, be adaptable, have your goal in mind. If you get a bad answer, don't double down, triple down, just move on. Because the more you focus on a bad answer, the more oxygen you give it to breathe, the greater it will remain on the transcript or in the tribunal's mind. So if something has happened, just gruffly take the hit and move on to your next point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for that detailed techniques, the strategy. One thing I took out of that is that determine your goal for the weakness. You need to be sure of what you want. Don't just ask questions because you feel like asking questions. Be sure of what you want. And again, for expert weakness, get an expert to teach you, get an expert to be able to tell you the questions you should ask the expert, because you are not an expert in that field and you may not know the answer. So thank you very much, Daniel. So we are going to now have the mock session where the scenario will be put up on the Slido. And I'll ask the audience to please just take 5 minutes. If you haven't read it, quickly read it, because we're going to get questions from that scenario. We have 3 issues. So I'll be calling Daniel Inweze. So please come forward. He will be acting as the witness for this mock session. And Daniel and Amy Kinovo will act as counsel. For the audience, I don't know if we have access to the scenario. Have we read it, please? Yes? Okay. Okay. Okay, so no, thank you. So let's give the audience 5 minutes and those online as well. We have the first issue. Please, we're supposed to have 3 questions. I can only see 1 question, because the audience will have to pick from one of the 3 questions.
Could we put up the slides first and then we'll move to the Slido when we're ready? We can direct the slide. That's it. Move on 1 slide, please. Can we move 1 more slide, please?
Who's in charge? Danny. Who's in charge? Yes. Yes.
Who's in control of the slides?
Please, can you move the slide forward?
Next one, if that's okay. Thank
Yes.
you.
Next one, yes.
Very good. So for those reading the case study, you are in the shoes of the respondent and you are acting for the respondent, and you will see on these slides 3 issues. And this is how the respondent puts its case. And what we are going to ask you is to choose, based on the issue you see on the screen, which question should Kinovo and I ask the witness by way of cross-examination based on what you have heard so far this morning. So read the issue, and then we will put up the 3 options for the question we could ask. And at that point, we will move to Slido, and you will be able to vote for the question that you want us to ask. Please, there are no wrong answers. This is an educational experience. We may well even, subject to the moderator, ask a couple of people in the crowd why they chose what they chose, but don't worry, we might not do that. Please be honest and answer as you see appropriate. Operator of the slides, could we please move to the next slide? There you are.
Okay, thank you. So we have the questions. Please, would like the audience to pick one from the options.
So if we move on to the Slido, we should see the results come in as you vote.
We need to see the results, please. Okay.
Are people able to access the Slido? No? Yes? Ah, it's working now.
Okay, so question 1. So Kinovo, this is your question. Do you have any letter that shows that there was an agreement on the quantity for 2024?
Okay, thank you, Omona. So, Mr. Iwezu, do you have any letter that shows that there was an agreement on the quantity for 2024?
Yeah, yes, I have a letter. I made a demand. Whether there was a letter that shows that there was a demand for quantity. Is that your question, please?
My question is, do you have any letter that shows that there was an agreement on the quantity for 2024?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
You don't have a letter?
No, I don't have a letter.
Okay. All right. So in this fact pattern, what we were trying to do is to basically elicit from the scenario whether or not we had an agreement on the quantity, because that's critical to their claim. Now, Daniel has said no, but what I want to draw out from this question is that this question could have gone either way, right? So you see how initially he said, oh, letter, what letter? So he could have easily said, I do have a letter, it's somewhere in the bundle, right? Or he could have said no. So the point is, the question is actually too wide. It's way too wide because, again, remember what I talked about. You don't want the witness to take control. You don't want the witness to be confused, which Daniel clearly was slightly confused because he wasn't sure. And as well, you don't want the witness to lead you down a path saying that, oh, yes, I do have a document and it's somewhere in the bundle, or yes, I'll get it for you tomorrow, something like that, right? So that question, as I said, is either here or there. You might get the right answer or you might not get the right answer.
Do you want to have a go at some of the bad questions?
Right.
I mean, there's 36% is going for question 2.
Okay.
So let's see what 36% of the audience get when they ask that question.
All right, great. So I'm gonna ask the last question because I think that's it. No, it's fine. It's fine. I can see the question. So now I'm gonna ask the third question and we'll see what Daniel decides to give us in response. Witness, show me the letter where the respondent agreed to the quantity you requested for in December 2023, or even the price for these spices for the deliveries in 2024. Or was there even any minutes or letter that's showing the meeting held in December 2023?
What's the question? I don't know what to answer.
Okay, so clearly a number of issues. One, obviously I was very aggressive in asking the question, which wasn't necessary in this particular scenario. Two, I've asked him like 4 questions in one go. So at this point, 2 things can happen. Daniel as well can look confused. He can actually seek, look at the tribunal and be like, help me. I don't know what to do. So he's seeking the protection of the tribunal. I remember what Daniel had said. The tribunals tend to also be protective of the witness. So you don't want to get to the point where the tribunal is saying to you, counsel, do you want to take it slowly? Do you want to, calm down and re-ask some of these questions? And then that obviously leads to you're going to lose the flow of your cross-examination. You're also losing the tribunal because the tribunal doesn't know what points you want to land. They don't really know where you're going with this questioning. So even though 36% of respondents in the audience have said this is the question they will ask, this is the reason why it's an inadvisable question.
Very good.
Thank you very much. I think you should just take the last question as well. Okay, we have time. We have time. All right.
Okay. Mr. Iwezu, please look at clause 3.2 of the agreement. Can you find it?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good,
can see
good.
it.
So just let me know, did a meeting take place to agree on the quantity for 2024?
No meeting took place.
Thank you. That was really helpful. Thank you, Mr. Iwezu. So that is what I would say would be the best approach for this particular question and probably the better question to ask. One, I have constrained him to the document. So remember what Daniel was saying, the documents don't lie. So constraining him to the document, he has to look at it and say, oh, actually, there's no meeting, and there is no record actually of any meeting. So he can't say a meeting was held because possibly his witness statements don't bear that out. And if there was a meeting, he would have said so. So that's a better question because you've constrained him to the documents. You've led him nicely into the river to answer in a way that, elicits the answers that you want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Emikinuvu. Thank you. So those questions were from issue 1. So please, can you move to issue 2? Move the slide.
Can we have a look at the next Slido? Oh, there we are. I think they've gone the wrong way around. Can we look at the Slido, the next Slido slide, just briefly, please? If you go back to the Slido and move on. What's the next slide, please? No, the next one along, please. Okay, very good. So if we can go back to the slides, please. Yeah, there we are. And go back one slide. I feel like I'm driving here. I'm giving directions. Very good. These are your 3 possible questions. And then if you go onto the Slido, please, back to where you were, we can start voting for them. And I'll get the privilege of asking this one. I'm told by the witness, who's being extremely helpful right now, that if you scan the QR code on the screen, that will bring the Slido up straight away. So I'm expecting to see a sea of mobile phones trying to scan the QR code. Thank you. There we go.
So go ahead and answer your question.
So 71% of you want me to ask 75. This is like the Republican election. It's all red. Okay, 70. It's still moving, but I think we can agree the top question is the preferred one in the audience. So let's give it a go. Mr. Ikhweze, thank you for being here today. Could I please refer you to clause 3.2 of the agreement? Do you have that in front of you?
Yes, I do.
Very good. Very simple question, Ikhweze. Yes or no? Simple answer. When did you hold, or did you hold a meeting in December 2022?
I can't recall any meeting being held.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ikhweze. That's it. If you look at the case theory and look at the terms of 3.2, a meeting has to be held for the agreement to be extended. If you establish that no meeting was held, you establish that no extension. And it's as simple as that. But let's not disappoint. 16% want me to be angry. So let's get angry. Witness, you are a liar. No terms were agreed, were they?
Please, what's the question? What is that
Well,
a question?
I have put the question to you, and well, it's more a statement, I suppose, but you are a liar, aren't you?
I'm not a liar, but there's no question there for me to answer.
I hope you see the point coming out of that one. There is no question. The case is about conduct. It's not about someone's personality, whether they are a liar or not. You may well be trying to attack the witness's credibility, but I'm fairly certain, based on that brief experience, you probably think less of me than the witness rather than the other way around. And finally, we have 17% who would like the last question asked, so let's do that briefly. Witness, please can you show me where these terms were agreed?
I'm sure there was an agreement or document reflecting that, and it should be in the bundle. I'm sure if you check a bundle or the bundle of you should be there. And besides, those terms there were also terms that were agreed orally, and I believe that should suffice.
So you can see there, I'm trying to get the witness to agree that no terms were agreed. Did his answer suggest that there was no agreement? Far from it. It's left the tribunal's mind open to the possibility that there is a document somewhere which records the agreement. Alternatively, there was an agreement by conduct. So actually, I've damaged my case. Why? By asking a very open question and allowing the witness to talk. A witness who talks in a way that is uncontrolled is a dangerous witness. So there we are. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Please, can we move to the next slide? Issue 2. Next slide, please. So 1 minute for the audience to read this. And please take us to the questions so that the audience can pick a question. So can you So this time, 100%. I want to give like 30 seconds to see if any of the other questions get any traction. Okay, great. Question 2 is getting 20%. Okay. All right. So I think right now we have about 83% have said I should ask the first question. So I'll ask that first. So Mr. Iwezu, I hope you're still with us and the day isn't going too long. I'm sure we'll wrap up very quickly, okay? Please look at your letter to the respondent, letter dated 18th December 2023. Do you have that in front of you? I believe it's at C5.
Yes, I do.
Okay, great, great. Just have a look at that letter. And in that letter, did you refer to the AFCON contracts in your letter?
No, I didn't.
Okay, thank you so much. That's been very helpful. So I think we've learned from the last block of questions. As we said, similarly, what I want to draw out is that this contract was not within the contemplation of the parties. And so the respondent can be held liable for the claimant's loss of this contract. And what I've done is I've drawn him to a document that he or someone in his organization has written. And it's a very clear letter and it doesn't mention anything about the AFCON contract. Now, this is clear, as Daniel said, documents don't lie. And so he can be seen to disparage his own document and he has to answer the question in a very simple and close fashion, which is no. So that was an easy one. Let's see if there's any traction from any of the other questions. Let's see. Okay, we have 13%. Oh, it's changing. Are you 12%? We can't see the other. Don't worry. Okay. So I'm going to ask the question that 12% of the audience have said I should ask. Mr. Iwezu, did AFCON ask for a sample of your company's jollof rice? And what was the feedback after you submitted the sample?
I'm not aware of any sample requested by AFCON or given to them. We're a known brand, so they would have seen our work and that's how they engaged us. No sample was requested.
Okay, great, great. So again, this question does nothing for my case, actually. As we've said previously, you need to know what you're trying to prove or what you're trying to get at in cross-examination from a particular witness and what theory you're trying to prove. Now, asking that question is of no moment. One, I actually don't know the answer to that question. That's the first problem. I don't know whether they sent a sample. I don't know whether feedback was given. Two, I've asked 2 questions in one. And as we said earlier, it's better to ask them one at a time. Even if this was a good question, if I wanted to ask it, I would ask one first, get the answer, and then ask the other. Now, the third issue is, as I said, he's not helping my case. So what? Like, there's no sample. As he says, he's a known brand. He's actually helping his case to show that it is actually the respondent's fault and not the fault of their their, can I say, terrible jollof that has caused them to lose the contract. So again, not a helpful question, and it would be inadvisable to ask that question.
Okay, so the third question, the percentages are changing. So I think it's only about less than 10% for the third question, but we'll ask it anyway. So the third question. Mr. Iwezu, have you got any negative feedback about your company's jollof rice from 2021 till now?
Have you tested our jollof? No, I asked that question honestly to say that.
No, Mr. Iwezu, you
You-
need to answer the questions I've asked.
Yes, I'm answering. I'm actually answering because I feel if you have, you wouldn't ask. The jollof is top notch. Now, we
I
have-
think that's quite enough. Thank you. Thank
no,
you.
just let me tell you. You asked me a question, you know. So our jollof has different spices. If you try the turkey version of it,
Okay.
you wouldn't ask
Mr.
me.
Iwezu, I'm not asking about your turkey jollof rice. I'm
Ah.
asking whether you had any negative feedback.
We've won awards based on that product.
Okay, so
Thank you.
so you can see that I've now got into a debate with the witness. We're debating whether his jollof rice is great or not. And I still not got the answer to the question that I want. This question is problematic in a number of ways. In terms of negative feedback, what do we classify as negative feedback, right? And do I actually have the evidence to prove the negative feedback? Remember, in the scenario we've given you, we haven't shown you any document that says that there's been negative feedback. So we can assume that I don't have that information. So again, I'm asking a question. I have no idea what the answer will be. Daniel has capitalized on that by saying that no, his jollof is the best in the industry. Have I tasted it, the turkey one? And now we're in a back and forth. The tribunal is totally lost at this point. We don't know where we're going, and we're landing into a ditch somewhere. So again, that question would be inadvisable.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, the next slide. Next slide, please. Next one. This is another question. Okay, Daniel.
Right, let's have another go. Here are the three questions. And bear in mind that we're trying to focus on whether damages for the AFCON contract loss can be claimed. So there are the questions. Vote away, please. Just give it another 15 seconds.
Changing a lot.
Okay, it's moving as the crowd votes, but I think we're starting to see something of a trend. So, Daniel, let's start again. Mr. Ikhweze, the AFCON contract, that couldn't have been in the claimant's contemplation at the time it entered into the contract in 2021, could it?
No, it wasn't.
There we are. The AFCON contract postdates the entry into the contract between the parties. So how could it have been in contemplation? Therefore, how could it not be too remote? I'm avoiding the risk, the temptation to ask more questions on the point. Daniel has answered it. I move on. So I think of the three, that was the best question to ask. So well done, audience. But let's try the other two. Let's just see what we get. So, Mr. Ikhweze, the AFCON contract is huge. Do you think it is fair that the respondent should have to foot the bill for an exceptional contract that it was never aware of?
Your client was responsible for supplying goods for me to produce for that contract. And we had exclusive, as I repeat, exclusive supply for that product. Now we cannot deliver. I wonder what you want us to do now. We cannot deliver because of your breach, your client's breach. I don't think it's right that you're trying to justify why your client shouldn't pay. We are not able to deliver because you cannot give us the product that we have paid for. And in fact, have a contract to be supplied. I think yes.
Who here thinks that's a helpful answer to my case? Yeah. Fairness isn't the test. You start getting to questions of fairness, morality, ethics, and so forth, you're veering off the legal tests, and I made the question open, and I'm allowing this witness to give a very impassioned answer, which could put the tribunal on his side rather than mine. Finally, let's try the last question, which I'm disappointed is so far down, but I think it makes sense. Mr. Ikhweze, have you ever tried your company's jollof? What do you honestly think of it?
Just to say that in my family now, we don't cook jollof from scratch anymore. Because imagine having jollof in 10 minutes. Who would need to cook anymore? So yes, I've tasted, and I don't think I'll have any other one in place of it. It's simply delicious. I think restaurants should close and start buying our jollof.
I heard you supplied it for lunch today. Don't ask questions that you don't know the answer to. And what is the purpose of this question? Legally, analytically, it's irrelevant to your case, and it's Mr. Ikhweze's subjective view, which is of little relevance. And I would be surprised if he gave a negative answer to that question. So as tempting as it is to create some theatrics, avoid it.
Thank you, Daniel. So let's go to issue 3. Let's have the questions so that the audience can vote and pick questions they want to be answered. The others like this. Yes.
You have me again. So the Slido is up. Start voting. The case I'm trying to prove is that the territorial scope of the exclusivity is uncertain. So help me to help you to help our client's case. What question am I asking? One of you has so far voted. The rest of you are quiet. More votes, please. Oh, no, we have a naysayer. Yeah, we have a contrarian in the room. There we go. Just give it a few more seconds. Yeah, I think the trend again is fairly clear. So let me have a go with the audience choice. Mr. Ikhweze, thank you for being so patient and so impassioned about your jollof. Please, may I refer you to the agreement? I believe you have it in front of you, and to clause 1.2.
Yes.
Just quickly, you read this at the time, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Please, can you show me where in clause 1.2 the Ivory Coast is listed?
It's not listed in the clause.
Thank you. Very good. That was the questions to select. So clearly you all are expert cross-examiners already, or you've been listening. We'll take the latter. We'll assume it's the latter. So well done. But let me briefly run through the other two. Mr. Ikhweze, can you tell me where in the agreement the Ivory Coast is covered?
Because it's 1.1 and 2.1. Yes, it's there in the contract.
So if you read the contract, you'll see that there are inconsistencies. I don't want those inconsistencies to be drawn out because it's going to be unhelpful to my case. Whereas the previous question focused on the narrow clause that benefited my case. So don't ask an open question. And finally, Mr. Ikweze, nothing personal, but how good are you at geography? Because isn't it right that the Ivory Coast isn't in the territory of West Africa?
Again, I'll refer to clause 1.1 and 2.1. And I would say that I might not know a lot about geography, but it was intended for Ivory Coast to also be included as countries in West Africa.
Right, thank you. Again, an unhelpful response. So always focus on the targeted closed question. Over to you, Kinyovo, and the next slide, I believe.
Okay, let's begin voting. Next slide, please. All right, one person has voted. Can we get other votes? Pretty neck and neck. All right, so it's pretty neck and neck at the moment between two questions. So I'm going to ask the first question, right? Mr. Iwezu, are you saying that you don't know where Ivory Coast is taking place? Are you saying that you don't know where the AFCON games are taking place in Ivory Coast? Or you don't know that Ivory Coast is not covered in the agreement?
With respect, I would say there's no need for the rudeness or the tone.
I'm simply asking you a question. Are you saying you don't know where the AFCON games are taking place?
We both have this contract, and what we are asking is it not simply where the contract is, where the games will be taking place?
Yes.
It's even public knowledge, and you're being too strong about the question. Please, I feel a bit intimidated by the way you're speaking to me.
The witness needs to answer the questions I'm posing to him. Are you saying you don't know that the AFCON games are taking place in Ivory Coast, or you don't know that Ivory Coast is not covered by the agreement? Simple question. Please answer.
Which is the question? Not covered by the agreement or taking place in Ivory? I'm confused at this point. Which is your question, please? Please, which is your question, lawyer?
So as you can see, I'm now flustered. This question is obviously my tone was problematic, and I've asked two questions together again, and I'm making the witness look stupid, and nobody wants to look stupid, right? So I can ask the same question, but changing the way the question was asked would be beneficial to elicit the answer that I want from the witness. So you need to focus on tone, delivery, and trying to get the witness on side to give you the answers that you want. So that was the problem with that question. I will ask the second question, which has, oh, now it has 46%. Okay, so let's try this again, Mr. Iwezu. Mr. Iwezu, are the 2024 AFCON games being held in Ivory Coast? Could you help me? Because I really don't know.
Oh, yes, it's Ivory Coast.
Okay, yes, Ivory Coast. Thank you so much. I would really love to attend, so I just want to know where it's being held.
Of course.
Thank you so much. So that question would obviously be more advisable. It allows him to believe that he's educating me, you know, mansplaining. So he's educating me. I don't know where the AFCON games are being held. He's telling me where they're being held. And basically he's adding to the case, which is that, as Daniel had elicited from his first question, Ivory Coast isn't really covered by the agreement. And if the AFCON games are happening in Ivory Coast, it goes to figure that the agreement, the exclusivity agreement does not cover for Ivory Coast. So that's the advisable response to that question. I don't know if I have enough time to do the last question.
Yes.
Okay, we'll quickly do the last question, 1 minute, okay? So the last question. Mr. Iwezu, I'm pretty sure that, I mean, since you're from West Africa, you should know where Ivory Coast is on the map, correct?
Madam Lawyer, I'm sorry, but I wasn't aware that I'm in a geography class. That you want me to point out where different countries appear on the map. I don't know if that's a question. Honestly, don't know if that's a question.
Okay. So similarly, even though my tone wasn't as rude this time, it's condescending. It makes the weakness feel, obviously, he doesn't know geography. He doesn't even know anywhere in West Africa. And he's less likely to want to help me with my case, which is to show that, again, Ivory Coast is not listed in the agreement, and so it should be excluded from the exclusivity agreement. So I hope, that has been helpful. This is our last question for these mock cross-examination. I'll take it back to the moderator if we have time for Q&A.
Thank you very much, Imikinyovo and Daniel. And thank you to the audience for participating. Please, we would like to take some questions. Just 5 questions, please. I think we have 15 minutes left.
The questions are on the screen.
How many minutes? 5 minutes. Do we have questions, please?
Shall I take the first one? So the question is, when a witness is asked a closed question and answers it, does the tribunal have latitude to allow the witness to provide additional information? Unless your rules of evidence or procedure say otherwise, yes. And sometimes when you have a tribunal of 3 people, where one party has nominated one of the wings, you may well find that a tribunal member who is nominated by your client starts to develop certain questions along a certain way. I'm afraid when tribunals do that, you need to sit and listen, grit your teeth, but then it goes back to being adaptable and dynamic. If they damage your question, re-ask another question, which brings the witness back on track to where you need them to be. That is a very good example of where a script will not work, because a tribunal intervention will never be scripted.
Okay, thank you. So answer the second question. When is it appropriate to be aggressive with a witness during cross-examination? You should never be aggressive to a witness. Even if the witness is aggressive, do not be aggressive. Focus on your aim. Ask the question you want to ask. If the witness is still aggressive, you can ask for protection from the tribunal, and never banter words with the witness. Just be calm and focused. So Imikinyovo will answer the third question.
Okay, thank you, Mama. So the third question says, where a witness has made 2 conflicting documents, is there any point cross-examining them on the contradictions? I would say yes. That is the point of cross-examination, to show, I mentioned earlier, to show inconsistency. There's a way it lands well for the human mind when something is being said, as opposed to just it being written down. The point of cross-examination, we could have documents, right? And you could just have documents where you say, oh, line A, line B. But when you have the person there in person, seeing the demeanor, seeing how he reacts when you show the inconsistencies in the document, and then he has to say, well, yes, perhaps I made a mistake, or perhaps this isn't right. It really does give you that point in front of the tribunal. So it's actually very critical. If there are contradictions, yes, please point out the contradictions.
Slide. Are there more questions? We still have 3 minutes. No more questions. No more questions. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you to the audience. Thank you for participating. And a big thank you to, where's my witness? It's gone. Thank you very much. Thank you, Daniel. Coincidentally, they are both Daniel. So thank you, Daniel. And thank you, Imikinyovo. And that'll be all for this session. Thank you, everyone.
Are you bored? Are you angry? Have you been taking notes? All those are things that have been said here. I'm just repeating what they've said. So are you bored? Are you angry? Have you been taking notes? Okay. So first of all, let's give a better and a bigger round of applause to the panelists. That was very well done. You agree? So I would invite the panelists to step down over here. Yes. Our gifts are heavy. So you need to be on steady flow. Yeah. Yes. So at this point, I would like to welcome the branch chair to give out the gifts. Please, let's move to the middle. Thank you very much. I have learned a lot, taking notes for everybody. So thank you, Daniel, coming all the way. Thank you very, very much. Very, very much. You did a great job. So if I could also request the conference co-chairs to join them for the photos. So at this point, I want to appreciate our sponsor for the session, Shola Ajilola and Company. Let's also give them a round of applause. That has been a great session and we are doing very well on Matters time. So at this point, I want to invite you for tea. But before we go for tea, I have seen my branch chair. So I want her to just say hi. Come on, say hi to my branch chair, Mrs. Jacqueline Waihenya. So thank you so much. Let's go for tea. We have 15 minutes so that we can be able to come back for the next session.
My name is Isaiah. I'm co-chairing CIR conference this year with my very good friend Diane. As to when I found out, I received a call from the immediate past chairman, Chigbola Akinola, around January or so, inviting me to chair and giving me the choice to pick a co-chair. And really, there was only one choice because Diane, with her by your side, anything is possible. So we're excited to do it. We know it's going to be extreme hard work, but we're up to the task.
He's very kind. Well, he's obligated to be. He's my brother. So when he called me to say he had been offered the opportunity to chair this year's conference and he would like me to be co-chair, there was only one response: yes. When you work with Isaiah, it's a ride. So we know that it's a lot of hard work, but we're looking forward to it, to have a memorable conference and to enjoy the process.
January or so, inviting me to chair and giving me the choice to pick a co-chair. And really, there was only one choice because Diane, with her by your side, anything is possible. So we're excited to do it. We know it's going to be extreme hard work, but we're up to the task.
He's very kind. Well, he's obligated to be. He's my brother. So when he called me to say he had been offered the opportunity to chair this year's conference and he would like me to be co-chair, there was only one response: yes. When you work with Isaiah, it's a ride. So we know that it's a lot of hard work, but we're looking forward to it, to have a memorable conference and to enjoy the process.
My name is Isaiah. I'm co-chairing CIR conference this year with my very good friend Diane. As to when I found out, I received a call from the immediate past chairman, Chief Bola Akinola, around January or so, inviting me to chair and giving me the choice to pick a co-chair. And really, there was only one choice because Diane, with her by your side, anything is possible. So we're excited to do it. We know it's going to be extreme hard work, but we're up to the task.
He's very kind. Well, he's obligated to be. He's my brother. So when he called me to say he had been offered the opportunity to chair this year's conference and he would like me to be co-chair, there was only one response: yes. When you work with Isaiah, it's a ride. So we know that it's a lot of hard work, but we're looking forward to it, to have a memorable conference and to enjoy the process.
My name is Isaiah. I'm co-chairing CIR conference this year with my very good friend Diane. As to when I found out, I received a call from the immediate past chairman, Chigbola Akinola, around January or so, inviting me to chair and giving me the choice to pick a co-chair. And really, there was only one choice because Diane, with her by your side, anything is possible. So we're excited to do it. We know it's going to be extreme hard work, but we're up to the task.
He's very kind. Well, he's obligated to be. He's my brother. So when he called me to say he had been offered the opportunity to chair this year's conference and he would like me to be co-chair, there was only one response: yes. When you work with Isaiah, it's a ride. So we know that it's a lot of hard work, but we're looking forward to it, to have a memorable conference and to enjoy the process.
My name is Isaiah. I'm co-chairing CIR conference this year with my very good friend Diane. As to when I found out, I received a call from the immediate past chairman, Chigbola Akinola, around January or so, inviting me to chair and giving me the choice to pick a co-chair. And really, there was only one choice because Diane, with her by your side, anything is possible. So we're excited to do it. We know it's going to be extreme hard work, but we're up to the task.
He's very kind. Well, he's obligated to be. He's my brother. So when he called me to say he had been offered the opportunity to chair this year's conference and he would like me to be co-chair, there was only one response: yes. When you work with Isaiah, it's a ride. So we know that it's a lot of hard work, but we're looking forward to it, to have a memorable conference and to enjoy the process.
My name is Isaiah. I'm co-chairing CIR conference this year with my very good friend Diane. As to when I found out, I received a call from the immediate past chairman, Chigbola Akinola, around January or so, inviting me to chair and giving me the choice to pick a co-chair. And really, there was only one choice because Diane, with her by your side, anything is possible. So we're excited to do it. We know it's going to be extreme hard work, but we're up to the task.
He's very kind. Well, he's obligated to be. He's my brother. So when he called me to say he had been offered the opportunity to chair this year's conference and he would like me to be co-chair, there was only one response: yes. When you work with Isaiah, it's a ride. So we know that it's a lot of hard work, but we're looking forward to it, to have a memorable conference and to enjoy the process.
My name is Isaiah. I'm co-chairing CIR conference this year with my very good friend Diane. As to when I found out, I received a call from the immediate past chairman, Chigbola Akinola, around January or so, inviting me to chair and giving me the choice to pick a co-chair. And really, there was only one choice because Diane, with her by your side, anything is possible. So we're excited to do it. We know it's going to be extreme hard work, but we're up to the task.
He's very kind. Well, he's obligated to be. He's my brother. So when he called me to say he had been offered the opportunity to chair this year's conference and he would like me to be co-chair, there was only one response: yes. When you work with Isaiah, it's a ride. So we know that it's a lot of hard work, but we're looking forward to it. To have a